Hello, welcome back to another Fashion channel. I'm JMJ Booksmart, and we're just going to start the next vlog so I can just get it over with and we can move along the process. I am currently working on GSR for writing. These are reading and writing vlogs. As you guys can tell by the title, they're bi-weekly as well. That's told by the title. And we're currently working on GSR. I'm reading GSR book 2 currently, which is in its draft 2 phase. I rewrote it back in September or October of last year. So we're just now getting to the reread process, getting all the leftover questions from that book. So I can make sure when I write book 3, we're all good to go. I have all the questions already done, and I can tell if I answer them or not, or where I can add them in and build off of different sections. So we're doing also a current, an outline process for it. That's everything. Today is Tuesday, February 18th. And I want to come here and tell you about how I read Earthdivers Volume 1 or Volume 2. This is the sequel to Volume 1. I think I talked about, but maybe if I didn't. The first volume follows a group of indigenous people in 2020 or 2100, like 2106 or something like that, who learned there could be a portal where they could go back in time to kill Christopher Columbus. Essentially, Stephen Graham Jones had this idea. As a kid, he always wondered, what if someone could go back and kill Christopher Columbus before he comes to America and discovers America and brings all the raping and the pillaging and the horrible things that he absolutely atrociously did, that America decides that they don't want to recognize. I think it's becoming more of a public knowledge, but also the society we live in, so who the fuck knows? But yeah, so the idea for the story itself is, what if, we could? And so that's what it is. The second volume follows, it's all about a mom's long-lasting love, and it goes over the course of 20,000 years or something like that. I didn't like it nearly as much, so I'm not planning on picking up the third volume, at least right now. I'm giving it I think it was a solid 3.5. Then I read, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called off right up on the screen. Fight Girls, something along those lines. It's set in a near futuristic world where they're allowing these women to become more. It's like a queen game type of thing. Ironically, I've read a few of those. I don't think they're anything like this. Essentially, 10 girls go into this. They all want to be queen to this king. They get dropped down into different arenas and stuff, and you go down until there's only one surviving. That's what it is, and that's all I can really tell you about without spoiling too much. I gave it a 3. It's okay. It's not great. You can tell by the cover. It's fine. It's fine. There's one particular panel I was like, really? Was that necessary? I don't know. Then I read Scarlet Contour. I couldn't really tell you what it was about. It was kind of like a fever dream when I read it, and I just knew for a fact I didn't like it. The 2, the artwork here is not my favorite. That's all I'll say. It's about a spy who's doing some things. I don't really know. The spy's on the cover. I don't know. We're gonna move on, okay? Just ignore the fact that I read it. Because I'm trying to ignore the fact I read it. I gave it a 2. It's probably like a 1.75 to a 2. It's a really bad graphic novel. I really didn't care for it. We're moving on. Not as egregious as some of the other graphic novels I've read, but it's still not great. I'm in the middle of The Witcher. I'm 30% into the short story collection before you read the actual series. It's an 8-book series. This includes the short story collection. And the short story collection, I think, came out 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 books in, but it technically is talking about girls' origins and things, and I have some interesting thoughts. One, I kind of want to DNF it and say fuck it, and I don't really like the books. That's what my first entire instinct was when I started reading it, because I don't love it. I like the idea of it, and I was really looking forward to a book series that was kind of based on someone being a monster hunter and saving and doing this whole thing, and it doesn't really seem like that's what we're doing. And to be fair, the games are not that way either, but I knew the games really decided not to go with the pathway of the novels. I'm pretty sure Netflix decided to go more with the pathway with the novels with the television show. I'm not 100% sure on either avenues, but all I know is that this is not for me. This follows Geralt to several different stories and things, and the stories are broken up in a weird way as well. I don't love that. But I've read 2 of the main stories, and there's one through line storyline that's kind of connecting them all together. And the misogyny, the way that women are talked about, is it's a choice. It's a choice. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Also, the fact that a lot of these women are 14 years and younger, also a choice. That's all I'm saying. Maybe don't. And it's really making me want to DNF it and just say, I tried. It was one of my favorite series, video games of all time. I got a really good intentions behind it. I just don't think it's for me. And I'm just going to live with that life. You know what I mean? Still think I might. I'm going to give another 20% tomorrow while I got some other stuff to work on. That being said, let's jump over to writing real fast. I don't really have a lot to update you on this one. We have started reading GSR book 2, and that's really where I'm at. It's going to take me a few days to read it, probably. I'm actually feeling like we're probably going to end up writing GSR book 3 in March or finishing it in March. I really need to finish my little sister's fantasy project, and I think once I have all my notes and once I do the outlines and stuff, I think I'll start working on it, start writing it. Do you have plans to start writing it this month? But we're running out of days, is what the moral of the story is, so I don't really know. We'll just have to wait and see. I have a bit of time, so it's okay. But yeah, just wait and see. I'll see you guys when I can. Hello, let me come in here and update you guys. Today is Wednesday, February 19th. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into this blog. Today I DNF'd the book, so we'll start there. We'll go through it. I do actually want to talk about the DNF and the current read, and then we'll talk about the 5-star read that I also read today. Just because I think it's really interesting. I think there's a good comparison going on between The Last Wish and How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. The Last Wish I ended up DNFing in the 3rd or 4th story. I just didn't care for it. I didn't really like the world. I also didn't really like the writing very much either, and I didn't really find Geralt as a character to be that compelling to read from. Also, I was hoping for something a bit different, and I do think at the end of all of these stories, as I was reading them, I think they were delivering in certain ways to what I wanted, but it's just not what I want. And I think that also comes from the fact that, like, The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt was one of my favorite video games of all time for a very long time. It's a little bit further down the list due to some replays and stuff. It was so good when I initially played it. I was so obsessed with it. I loved it so deeply, and I put in so many hours that, like, I will always love this character. I'm so excited for the new one, and I'll continue to play the games, but I have no intention of watching the TV show, and I guess at this point I have no intentions of ever touching this book series again. And also another big problem is that I talked about in the previous one where I was like, I don't know, we might DNF, because it is definitely written by a man, and there's objectively nothing wrong that I love a good male writer. Obviously, I'm a male writer. I have no offense to it. I just think there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it, and I really don't like how it's done here. The female characters are written really, really poorly, and I know some people in the comments are gonna be like, well, this is from the 90s, like, you have to think of the time, that period. I also agree, but there's so many sexualizations of children inside this novel that it just physically makes me uncomfortable, and that was never a problem. Now, these are slight spoilers, but in the video games, children do get put in harm's way, is all I will say. However, there's no sexualization towards children. I do think it's really a problem here. Now, that being said, after I DNF'd this book, I picked up How to Become the Dark Lord or Die Trying by Desi something. Or Desi's the name, and then it's like something. I had no idea. The first 10%, I did not know this was written by a man, and then I did a little research, because, I don't know, just want to do, I guess, a little research. And I very apparently came up to realize that it was written by a man. And I feel like there's the same problem here. I think there's aspects of this that I think you could totally take and be like, oh, that's because a man wrote it. When you read it, I think you will understand what I mean by that statement. But I think it just works 10 times better here. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a man. I don't know. I really like the humor of it all. I really like the main character, and I like the way she handles herself. Also, this book has footnotes, and I'm learning I'm a footnote girly, but I'm very particular about my footnotes when I'm reading them in literature. Okay? Like, this is not like a text. Emily's Wild's Guide to Fairies, okay? I also had footnotes in it, but its footnotes I found to be really boring and like almost reading a textbook and something I did not want to study for. And I really did feel like I was going to get a test. And I was like, I'm not going to read. I'm not going to, like, I understand the knowledge, but, like, I don't care. Whereas, like, the book I read last year, Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies, that also has footnotes in it, but it's, like, a tongue-in-cheek type of footnote, where the author, or the character of that book, is, like, writing to you. And it's very similar in this regard. I would say it's a mixture of the two, where we're learning factual information. She's catching you up to speed, because she's lived thousands of years in this world by this point, because of the plot of the story. And so she knows the world very well, but she also realizes that us as a reader do not. And so she's catching up to speed really quickly with these little footnotes, but it's very much told in her voice and her humor, and I fucking adore that quite a bit. There's also other stuff going on with the footnotes, which I also enjoy, but like I think it's a perfect balance, and it's a perfect balance between really horny female main character written by a man, because I read a few of those as well. They're not always great, but I think it really works here. I think it really works for this character as well, this jaded character. Yeah, this follows a woman as she has somehow landed in a fantasy land, and we meet her on her like 230th time dying. Now we're here, and she decided that she no longer wants to be the savior of this world. She wants to be the person who ends it, and I'm having a fucking great time 40% into this. I will finish it tomorrow, and I have a feeling it's gonna be a 5. It's just interesting to seeing the two differences in reading them back to back, and I'm so happy I went with this decision. We're gonna be jumping into, I have a lot of fantasy I'm reading at the moment, which is not intentional, but it's just what is happening. Then I also read my 5-star so far, and that is String. This is a graphic novel that comes out in April. I really hope it's a volume 1 and not just a whole story. This storyline does get wrapped up here, but I just want more of this characters. I think the characters are so good here. This is a 5-star graphic novel. I don't give out 5s very often for a 5 for a graphic novel, especially just like a random story. The artwork is what caught my attention, which is why I wanted it, or why I requested it on NetGalley, and I was just blown away with it. I thought it was so good. It's about a woman who can see these strings. Blue strings are people you have fucked and or loved. Black strings are people that have murdered someone or who possibly could be murdered or something along those lines. Like bad stuff has happened, okay? And the story follows that she realizes that she has a black string attached to her, and she has to try to figure out her own murder or who she might murder in the case of it all. The world building, I think, is really strong. The characters are really strong. I just would recommend this when it eventually does hit the stores in, like I said, like April or something. I think it's what it is. The books I read, writing wise, the only other thing I have anything to update you guys on writing is that I'm really enjoying book 2 so far. The 4 chapters I'm into it. There's 17 in total. I'm really liking what I'm reading, and that's all I can really tell you at this very moment in time. That's exciting as well. Today is Saturday, February 22nd? Something are those lines. It's a Saturday. You're supposed to February, Jacob. You can figure it out editing. And today I finished the book. I started another book. About to put the book a little bit on hold because I want to read a few short stories from Stephen King. And then we read those 3 short stories, and then we'll get back to the actual book. First book that I read or finished was How to Be a Dark Lord or Die Trying. I think the last time I updated you, I figured it was going to be like a 4 or 4.5. It was in fact a 5. I love this book. It took a while for me to like truly really love and appreciate it, but I really did. I don't think it's for everybody. Honestly, I would probably say it's for most people are not going to like it. I would say that most people are going to find Davi as the main character to be really annoying and very hard to read from. And I don't really think her humor, which really worked for me, and I can see if you really like it, it's going to really work for you based on some of the reviews I've read. It's not doing it for a lot of people either. Just know that going in. This is very much a man wrote a female character type of book. So if you don't like that either, I would just recommend not reading it at all. I think if it's done right, I think a man could write a really good female character, and I really liked Davi by the end, but I can see where people are coming from in the complaints that people are having. I've also started Cursebound. Cursebound is the sequel to Feybound, which I still have yet to figure out if it's a duology or a trilogy or a series. But either way, the first book, Feybound, I read last year. Feybound follows 2 sisters. One of them was like the lead of this military group in this world where they're elves, and the other one was like a seer, really looked down upon. The sister who was like really high up ranking ends up being outcasted, and her next general down, and her sister goes to hunt her down to bring her back or to go with her on this journey. And they end up killing one of these creatures called Oki. I can't remember what it's called. Realizing that they're connected to the Fae, and the Fae are real. And so then they're taken into the Fae realms and the whole 9 yards, and the book follows from there. And this book really does a nice job, by the way. If you don't remember the first book, which I vaguely remembered, I do think about it more often than I would probably think I think about it. I will have to say that it really caught me up to speed really quickly. So I would highly recommend this book if that's like an issue of yours. I think the author did a great job catching me back up to speed, and I was ready to go when the book was ready to go. Enjoying it so far. I'm like, I don't know, 20%, 30% into it. Really liking it. I will be continuing onwards, but I want to read The Monkey because I just went and saw the movie. I don't really have much thoughts, so I'm not going to say them here. I want to read the novella or the short story that was based off, and then in the same collection, it has The Mist in it, so I want to read both those. So those are the only 2 that I plan on reading from this Stephen King collection. However, they're not separated, so I can't just read those 2 stories. I think that's everything, because I didn't really do anything for writing. We're still working our way through GSR. We finally hit the part that I'm most nervous about. I was most nervous about before, and I think it's getting into me, so I'm just gonna bite that bullet and just like fully dive in. I want to come here and update you guys. I read a little bit of Cursebound, really liking it so far. We're talking 3.5 to a 4. I want to see the wrap up, and I'll get back to you when I finish it. We're continuing it today with another thing which we're really excited for, which we'll talk about here in a second. The next thing we're going to talk about is the other audio that I read, which was 2 short stories from Stephen King. I read The Mist, a group of people who get stuck in a supermarket. I gave it like a 3. I read The Monkey, which I gave like a 1.25, which I do have a very visceral reaction to. I've learned that I can rant about it for a long time, so I'm just going to tell you the synopsis. It's about 2 boys who find a monkey that their dad left them. The dad left in the house, and the monkey might have some ulterior motives such as murder. I'm going to just plainly say that I felt like it was very racially charged and racist. That's where I'm at. I don't really know how else to describe it. I can just say that I like the movie better, and that's where I'm going to stand on the monkey's standpoint. For both these, I think the adaptation was superior. For the standpoint, I felt like the ending was better, and for the monkey, I just felt like the whole goddamn thing was better. Okay? We're going to move on. Then I read Strange Bedfellows. Strange Bedfellows follows our main character as he realizes that he can bring his dreams to life, one of those being a boy, and a lot of other stuff, and it's super cool, and it's very well done, and it's beautiful, and it has a trans lead, which is so cool. Not that I feel like, I mean, it's kind of really well described, but it's also not like superly well described that he's a trans lead, but it's beautiful. I highly recommend it when it comes out in April. I want to say it's April. Then I read Daywalker, Daydreamer, something along those lines. I gave this one a 5. This is an all-time new favorite of mine. It gave me Heartstopper vibes in the best way possible. So if you're looking for something like the beautiful Heartstopper over there in the corner, I would recommend this when it comes out. I think it's July. I think as this one comes out. This is the first 40-something episodes of a webtoon comic that has over 200 episodes. Oh my god. Yeah, we're going to be going on the journey together. As I am currently reading the webtoon. I couldn't help myself. It ends on a cliffhanger, and I was like, oh my god, I want more. I need more. My body, it wants to absorb all the information I can. So we're doing that. And it is what it is, and we're moving on. I'm tracking these pages by using a placeholder book. I highly recommend placeholder books if you're someone who likes to track everything they read, but you read a lot of fanfic and or webtoon comics or something like that don't have a direct amount of page count. You can basically, I'm going based on the first volume. Okay, every 40 issues or comics or whatever, and this is like 300 pages. Okay, there's 200, and you need to do the math and hold on yards. You move on, fly. Those are the ones I'm reading. I'm fucking loving it though. For writing, I'm not super far in my writing as much as I would like hoped. I was really hoping to go on yesterday. I did not realize I was gonna fall in love with this thing, so that played a factor. Like, it played a big factor. I read it way longer than I should. didn't. I just really thought I'd be done with this section of the book, and I'm not. We're into, like, it's happening really quickly. The pace is really brisk, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think I really like the fact that it's like super brisk. I think some people could maybe have complaints that it's moving along too fast. You're not really getting to like feel or enjoy what's going on and take in every information because it's going from one thing to the other. But I really like it for that aspect. So can't complain. That's everything.
Welcome to AMC Theaters. We make movies.
Oh my god. My voice is going out, so that's fun. But I'm about to go to work. I have a few updates for you. I did end up finishing Cursebound. I'm giving it a 4, I think objectively. It is a sequel, it's a middle book, but I really, really loved the wrap-up of it, and I'm really excited for the third one whenever it does eventually come out. I'm assuming next year, just because of the early releases, but we all know things can get pushed, so I'm in no hope mode, but I'm assuming next year. That being said, I was trying to figure out, I put a few audio arcs on hold, requested, and I finally got one back, but I got it back after I already finished my next book. So I guess we're just gonna read Glass Sword. Woohoo. So I'm reading Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. This is the second book in the Red Queen series. I am this far into it. We'll see how far I get into it. I can't really tell you anything about it for reasons of I'm reading the entire series, so I don't want to double up or anything. This being GSR Book 2. I finished GSR Book 1 earlier this month. I've now finished GSR Book 2, which jumped into our writing portion. I got some really good information, and I figured out the third act plot twist, or the midpoint plot twist. I'm not entirely sure. No, it has to be probably towards the third act. I don't know if it'll happen exactly at the point that a normal third act plot twist would come up, but I finally figured it out, and I was like, thank God, this is super exciting, and I can kind of bring some stuff that I was trying to do in the first time into this time, and I think it's all going to work out really nicely. I did finish GSR Book 2. I overall really enjoyed it. A bit overwritten in certain places, so I've been tweaking some sentences that just are like really repetitive, where you're just like, yeah, you said that like 2 paragraphs ago. You don't need to continue to tell us this. And a part of me thinks there's like a character in here where I think the repetitive nature of me constantly coming at you think really works, but there's other places where it does not work. So I'm keeping some of it, but I'm getting rid of most of it. And that was like the big thing. I don't know if there's any developmental edits on it that need to be done. I won't really know until I write GSR book 3. That's everything for you guys. I'm gonna come here and close out this vlog. Today is Sunday, March 2nd. I didn't film. I think I filmed going and seeing Captain America with my mom and my little sister yesterday, but outside of that, I don't think I filmed it all for you. That was Saturday. I went and saw 2 movies, Captain America and then also Last Breath. But that being said, I am ready to jump into the next vlog, move on, close out this one. So, I did end up finishing Last Sword. I finished it on the 28th. Very, very exciting. I did not read anything yesterday, but I will probably put something down that I did. I have this like streak. And I guess I probably did read Daybreak because I'm always kind of reading it. We are 7% into Nameless Things, which is a book I'll talk about next vlog as well. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, I'm going to be honest with you. But I'm not very far into it though. Now let me know what you guys got up to these last 2 weeks. I'd love to know in the comments down below. And yeah, oh, and we officially started GSR book 3, which is very, very exciting. If you don't know, I do vlog individual first drafts separately, so that will be starting into its own thing. My cat is now trying to eat the unicorn popsicle stick, which everyone thought would be a problem, but now I'm realizing would maybe be a problem. I'll tell you how next time. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below, hit subscribe, all those things to help my channel, to let YouTube know that I'm making great content and that you want other people to see it. And I'll talk to you